So we all remember seeing Vivi for the first time, right? It wasn't in her own solo MV, it was in the first subunit MV. This to me always was an important detail. She is not yet her own person, in a way, since only after this MV does she regain her emotions and starts to live and love again. Also underlined by the fact that the Korean title is Now I Like You. I mean, yeah, it fits a love song, but could also be interpreted as Now I Like You, as in now I can like you. In a way, now that she has her emotions back, she can actually like someone or something. I mean, you get the point. So we also all remember seeing Vivi's eyes for the first time, right? When we see her being introduced in Love and Live, her eyes shine like a universe. This was our first look at her. But still, this detail is often overlooked or dismissed, since this detail never really made a lot of sense. If we compare this to an odd eye, it looks nothing like it, and none of the other members in 1/3 have this kind of universe galaxy eye. So what does this mean and why does it appear now and at the end of the MV? What if I tell you that this universe motive was more significant? Let's first go over a really important question. So how does Vivi become an android? Wouldn't it kind of make sense for Vivi to be some kind of fallen angel? Since Vivi doesn't remember her time before becoming an android, since we only see fragments of her memories through the Everyday I Love You MV, and she has this galaxy eye in Love and Live, it seems like she must have had an important role before becoming a robot. Not the same, but similar to an Odd Eye Circle member, who also can travel to places outside of Earth and have some type of superpower through their odd eyes. Also, besides the fact that she comes from a place different than the other 1/3 girls, she also is the 1 in 1-3rd. This adds to the idea that she isn't an ordinary girl like the other Earth girls, since she is separated from the other girls in multiple ways. She is the only one with colorful hair, she is the only one described as not being from the same place, and the same also applies to Yeojin, who is the dash in 1-3. Not really being a part of the subunit, but being one of the parts that puts 1/3 together and leads to the members forming Loona. In Love and Live, Vivi's galaxy eye is a huge visual cue. It's not something any of the other 1/3 girls seem to have, and again it clearly sets her apart from the other members and makes her appear closer to some type of Odd Eye Circle member. A galaxy symbolizes cosmic infinity. Like the Mobius is always looping and renewing itself, a galaxy is always expanding itself and has an infinity of opportunities and different outcomes. Kind of like the alternate universe some comic books have. There is one Batman, but 100 different galaxies that he exists in, and all of these variants look very different from another. Galaxies typically symbolize mysteries and are associated with divine or otherworldly beings. Like we see these strange beings come from space in both the Girls' Night and Birth MVs, making sure that the viewer knows that these are supernatural cosmic beings. And likewise, this galaxy in Vivi's eyes symbolizes that she has knowledge or origins beyond the earthbound experiences of the other 1/3 girls, who are just ordinary human girls, or at least that is what they're being described as. And this also fits into the idea that Vivi doesn't remember her past. If she truly was a supernatural being, she wouldn't even know herself, because she doesn't remember. And the fact that she doesn't even remember the time before becoming a robot is very significant. This aligns with a lot of angelic fallen angel narratives, like we can see in pop culture. Beings who were once divine, supernatural, and higher than human are sent down to Earth or fall by themselves, kind of like the Fallen from Grace story of Lucifer and other fallen angels. And now they exist in a fragmented or incomplete state on, for example, Earth, missing parts of their powers and these strengths to get back. So her memory loss can represent a severed connection to a higher realm, like Eden or Middle-earth, for example. What also plays into this theory is the fact that in her teaser photos, as well as her Everyday I Love You and Everyday I Need You MVs, Vivi is often portrayed with angelic styling, like soft pastel colors, this kind of floating energy, serenity and pureness through showing her in very light clothing, and in daylight, mostly in the Everyday I Need You MV. And also we can all remember these scenes in the Everyday I Love You MV, where we can barely see anything on screen because it is so light. And this kind of reminds me of a lot of angelic symbolism, where you can't really look at an angel because they shine so bright. Kind of like we see this divine being in the Birth MV, and it is really difficult to look at it because it just shines so bright. And all of this fits into the trope of an angel trying to integrate into human life, shining brighter than any human being soft and pure but kind of unable to connect to humans because you, for example, lack emotions. So in a way, Vivi gaining the ability to become a human could more so relate to her not having emotions and only gaining them after Love and Live, so basically after giving up on her divine powers and truly becoming a human, rather than her being an android purely made out of mechanical parts that is unable to feel anything because, well, it is a robot. In Love and Live, she's depicted wearing a school uniform like the other girls, but she behaves oddly, kind of robotic, slightly out of sync with the other girls, seemingly only copying their behavior and not being quite able to understand them. Seen in her always having the same time when being on the running track, her not being able to drink the lemonade juice that the other girls drink, and this could be interpreted as her trying to imitate humanity, as if she's a celestial being trying to blend in, but her core nature doesn't match up with the other members, since she can't really relate to their emotions. Which also plays into my theory that Vivi might be the bird Haseul shoots down in her Let Me In MV. I mean, think about it. We see this celestial bird boy in Haseul's MV, and she drops diamonds on the ground for her to follow. Diamonds, a sign of pureness and divine energy. Then, as a reference to the story of the little prince, Haseul has to shoot the bird to free it from its existence, just for it to be reborn like a phoenix. But this transformation maybe made it so that Vivi lost her memories and is unable to reach her home, since she lost her powers. And in a way, then Haseul would be the one setting free Vivi, and Vivi would be the little prince in the story. Which could also again connect to the fact that Vivi behaves kind of oddly, as though she doesn't really know how humans behave and act, and it also fits thematically. Loona's world is full of fallen angel motifs, temptation through sin, and the search for identity and your true self. Vivi is perhaps the first to fall, or the first to be sent down to Earth, and in the process becomes something else, a robot, an android, a symbol for the loss of autonomy or free will. Only once she lets go of this past life is she able to move on. She becomes the first one to reach her true self. She breaks through these cycles and becomes a new Vivi. That is also why the MV is almost a perfect cycle. In the beginning of the MV, we hear Vivi running, and then we switch to all of the girls running on the track. A track that always is the same, it loops. But at the end of the MV, instead of following this track and running in the same loop, Vivi breaks through the loop and ends up on a new, unfamiliar street. So through breaking through this cycle, she symbolically becomes her true self, deciding to choose her own future instead of following into this loop, instead of following the way that is set in front of her. So at the end of Love and Live, she gets to be a real girl with feelings and a free will again. In this case, her becoming an android could symbolize a loss of agency, like we can see some of the Eden and Earth girls struggle with changing their fates, being unable to actually do anything about the things that they're unhappy with, like Hyunjin being unable to actually confront her crush, or Haeju being too scared to exit Eden because she cannot imagine a future that she chooses for her own and only follows in the footsteps that Eden sets before her. Being an android could also symbolize corruption or trauma, like we can see in Yeojin's case, where she seemingly sees a whole different side of Eden to save herself from the truth, in a way wanting to stay a kid for a little while longer and not wanting to know or realize that the world around her is evil. And in Vivi's case, she basically forgets about her past to maybe save herself from this trauma. Then becoming an android could also symbolize a form of punishment, like Lucifer being cast down out of heaven, or Adam and Eve being cast out of Eden. And Vivi might have been cast out of Eden as well, thus becoming an android. And in a way, this becoming an android could also be just figuratively, her not truly being made up of only electronic parts, but instead her losing her agency, being corrupted and being punished, to then forget about her past and end up being left all alone on Earth. But in the end, Vivi still sings, still loves and shows emotion, which means some part of her soul was still alive and only needed to be freed again. So she actually wasn't just a emotionless android, but she actually was a living being that felt like an android, in a way. I guess you know what I mean. This is seen in her gaining the ability to struggle at the end of Love and Live, kind of like a reference to Pandora's box, where all of humanity's struggles were only set free through the emancipation of humankind from the divine beings. And in this case, Vivi sets herself free from her divine past to finally become her true self and in a way to become a human. A human that has emotions, that struggles, and has agency over her own decisions. Given all this, Vivi might actually be one of the most important characters in the Loonaverse. She is a symbol of cycles and breaking through them, a symbol for new beginnings and being able to change your fate. And in this way, she inspires the 1/3 girls to follow her in this quest and gives Yves the inspiration to find a way out of Eden. Without her, Loona basically wouldn't have formed, lore-wise. But we should keep in mind that while individual members like Vivi each have important roles to play in this story, their importance is also tied to the collective. The Loonaverse storyline revolves around how these individuals come together in a group, then break apart and seek to restore balance. Like the subunit albums suggest, the story of Loona is about mixing and matching, and ultimately finding a good ending to all of this. They love and live in the world full of love and evil. They each represent a part of the cosmic whole, and their collective journey is essential to the final resolution of the Loonaverse story. The 12 of them form the moon, and only once they all combine is the cosmic balance restored again. At least this is kind of like what Hi is hinting at. So to answer my original question, what if I tell you that this universe motive was more significant? I would summarize that Vivi's eye having this universe motive is about her being some sort of divine being that maybe is in a way somewhat related to the Odd Circle members. That this again underlines the fact that Vivi is not really like the other 1/3 girls and that there is something special about her. Just like we can see with Yeojin being a part of the subunit but actually not appearing in any of their MVs. And to me, the Galaxy Eye also symbolizes the infinity of choices. In this MV, Vivi at the end chooses a different way for herself, instead of following the loop of the track. She breaks out from this track that the other 1/3 girls seem to be at least somewhat stuck in, and she finally is able to become a human again. She gives up this Galaxy Eye, her past as a special or divine being, to become a human, her true self in a way. And this is really significant in the overall story, because just after this MV, we get to see a lot of this oddness around the other members. I mean, yeah, all of the MVs this far have been odd as well. Heejin seeing all of these colors, Hyunjin turning into a cat, Haseul being able to shoot a bird kind of divine being, and so on and so forth. But after this is when we first get introduced to Jinsoul through the Everyday I Need You MV, so the first Odd Circle member. And through Vivi we get to know that there's a lot more oddness in this universe, in the Loonaverse, because it isn't really that normal for a girl to just be an android with a galaxy eye. And in the Love and Evil album we get a description of Yeojin being lost in the forest and the members performing this arcane spell of love. To me, this all is related to the fact that Vivi joins 1/3. Just when Vivi joins the 1/3 members is she turned back into a human, Yeojin is being lost in the forest, then the 1/3 girls for some reason are able to perform arcane spells of love and kind of become a coven of witches. And only after all this does it seem like the 1/3 girls actually get in contact with the Odd Circle unit, through Vivi being related to Jinsoul. And then in the Rain 51 Decibel MV, we first of all get the title, which is Voice of Rain 51 Decibel, so related to Jinsoul because of the voice of rain and Jinsoul being related to rain and water. And then the fact that the girls seem to be performing a spell of some kind. And then the screen turns blue, this kind of blue that is related to Jinsoul. And then we see that the MV is shot in this VHS kind of style, just like the VHS kind of style that is used in Jinsoul's MV. So yeah, Vivi is kind of the first step of the Loonaverse to get bigger, because she introduces a lot of these strange kind of things happening, and she is the first connection to the Odd Circle unit. So the reason why Vivi is so important is because she is the first step into a new direction for the Loonaverse. She is someone who gives us a new outlook on our own world, because she is so different. She has to fight for her freedom to get back her emotions and gives the other members the strength to do so as well. After Vivi joins Loona and they form Loona 1/3, the members start to take their future into their own hands. While Heejin was just an observer to the odd things happening around her in the Vivid MV, she now takes part in the plan to help out the YYXY members. She is the one who meets Haeju once she enters Earth. Hyunjin, who was once too shy to confront her crush, is now able to visit Goon in Eden to help her gain the trust in herself, to not only hope for a better future but to actually create this better future for herself by exiting Eden together with the other YYXY members. Haseul, who was brought to this snow desert without knowing, and had to follow the lead of the bird boy, now takes matters into her own hands as well. She travels to Middle-earth to meet Shu there and helps to guide her back to Eden. Yeojin, who doesn't want to grow up too fast and feels kind of lost, only through Vivi and 1/3 singing her a sonneton is able to find her way out of the forest and joins the group. And then she also inspired Yves. In the new MV, it feels like Yves admires her and only through this admiration finds the strength and faith in herself to change her and the other YYY members' future as well. She embraces her new self and helps the other members to find their own selves and to get out of Eden. In a way, I think even Jinsoul was inspired by her. We see Jinsoul for the first time through Vivi's Everyday I Need You MV. First she is in black and white, before appearing in color, while Vivi is wearing an outfit that is very reminiscent of the Odd Eye Circle uniforms. Vivi was the one to basically introduce us to the Odd Eye Circle unit and the concept of supernatural beings. She herself has this galaxy eye, is an android with amnesia, and in this MV she lets the water flow backwards, either showing us that she is really a supernatural being that controls water or can turn back time, or it's just a fun connection to Jinsoul, since we know that Jinsoul can control water as well. Nonetheless, every time we see Vivi, they point out another thing that differentiates her from the other members, and they do that for a reason. In the story of Loona, she is, at least to me, one of the first puzzle pieces that starts to connect a lot of other pieces that beforehand seemed to not connect at all. Why 1/3 is described as a group of ordinary schoolgirls, but they perform arcane spells of love? Well, Vivi is the one that brings magic into the world of the ordinary schoolgirls and teaches them how to see and use this oddness around them. Since Vivi is basically the first time that we are truly introduced to something magical/magical powers, in the form of Vivi being an android that looks like a human and having this galaxy eye. How can it be that for some reason they know about the 4 girls lost in the Garden of Eden? Well, she is the one that knows about the struggles of the Eden girls, because maybe Vivi herself was one of them in the past as well. And she knows where Yeojin is, because she was also lost in the same forest. So she and the 1/3 girls try to lead her to Eden, and there they get Odd Eye Circle and YYY to help her out as well, since Vivi has connections to both Jinsoul and Yves. And because of this connection, she can also connect the other members. Hyunjin could only really try to connect to Cherry because she knows that she is an Odd Eye Circle member, and that could only really be possible if Vivi told her about her connection to another Odd Eye Circle member, i.e. Jinsoul. And then Vivi, Yves, and Cherry seem to be planning YYY's escape out of Eden in the new MV. So at least to me, it seems like Vivi is basically the first step towards this plan of helping the YYY members and connecting all of the Loona members to create their own new moon. Why do the members seem to know about the Mirror members and the Odd Eye Circle unit? To me, it seems like some of the members already knew about their Mirror members because maybe they had visions of them. I mean, in Hyunjin's MV, we see that she was connected to Go-On even before joining 1/3. But in the case of Haseul, for example, it seems very unlikely that on one hand in her own MV we see her being brought to the snow desert without her own knowledge, and at the same time in Shu's MV we see her going to Middle-earth by herself, so maybe she really had the help of Vivi to connect her to her Mirror member, and on the other hand also to guide her through Middle-earth. I will explain this a lot more detailed in the timeline video, but basically I think that Vivi is one of the members that has the most agency in the story, since she very early on already figured out who she wanted to be, finding her true self and being able to help out the other members as well. I also have a theory on what Vivi's Galaxy Odd Eye can actually do and why it exists in the story, but this will be part of the next video because the odd eyes and oddness are just a really big topic, so stay tuned. I hope you liked the video, and if you did, you can like and subscribe, and I will definitely see you next time.